Welcome to Kiss the Reviews. I'm Armando, that's Corey, and today we're doing 1989's She-Devil. Before we get into it, if you want to follow me or Corey on Twitter, you can follow me at Junior D's, you can follow Corey at Corey_Idol, and if you want to follow the show on the social media platforms, you can follow us at Kiss the Reviews on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram.
I don't like any social media. That's what I've come to realize. Like, you list them off, you're like, follow us on Twitter. I'm like, fuck Twitter. You're like, Instagram. Like, fuck Zuckerberg. And then you're like, TikTok. And I'm like, fuck you, China.
Yes.
Well, let's get past that. Let's get into the cast of characters in She-Devil, shall we?
So we could showcase how we're not doing YouTube right either.
Exactly. So this film stars Roseanne Barr as Ruth Patchett, Meryl Streep as Mary Fisher, Ed Begley Jr. as Bob Patchett, and Linda Hunt as Hooper.
My whole response to this is cool.
So a couple of things, and we'll get right into this one. Spoiler alert. The plot to this movie has been done a million times in a million different ways and whatever. But this particular version of the plot, this movie does not hold up. I'm just going to throw it out there. Not for me. Fair assessment. Not for me. I will say this, though. Young, fat, annoying Roseanne, thumbs up for me. Older, thinner, crotchety Roseanne on Ambien, not for me.
I didn't know what she looked like.
I thought the bitch was white. God damn it!
But overall, this movie is just dog shit. But let's get into it, shall we?
Let's get into the mole of the situation.
That's my first don't do that. So this movie opens with a voiceover by Roseanne, which already turned me off. But it shows a bunch of women getting makeup and perfume at the local JCPenney or whatever. And then it pans to her with her giant mole, primping and buying new clothes for a date with her husband at a fancy party. And I already got a don't do that for the writers or the directors or whoever made the decision of the mole.
Don't do that, it's not good for you.
Roseanne, whether it's now or in 89, she wasn't getting the Meryl Streep role for this movie, okay? You don't need to add the mole to her face to make Roseanne a more disgusting person. Her whole career has been based on the fact that she's a disgusting person.
Yeah, you could have just asked her, give her a monologue about black presidents, and her ugliness is shining through more than a mole ever could.
Dude, absolutely.
Fuck!
So
yeah, no. Here, if I can add on to that a little bit.
Sure.
From a writer's standpoint, right? The point of the mole here is at the end, she has it removed. And, her face is cleaned up and she's wearing contacts instead of glasses. Her self-esteem was supposed to be like she was a verbally battered housewife.
Yeah.
That's why she fell into this role. Ed Begley numerous times through this movie says she just got pregnant. He never wanted to marry her. She knows that, and living through that, it's going to make you gain weight. It's going to make you feel like shit about yourself. It's going to make you eat Dunkin' Donuts in bed. It's going to make you do crazy shit where you don't care how you look because you know nobody else does. So her cleaning up at the end could have just been her in that suit with her fucking hair done, and it would have been fine.
Yes.
You don't have to have the grand removal of the mole and, she's an angel now.
Yeah.
There's no tumor on her face. No, that's not, that doesn't add or take away from anything.
Yeah,
at
no,
all.
not at all.
There was no
Not at
need
all.
for it, and I will go a step further and say it was a fucking distraction.
It was a distraction because that's all I looked at.
Mm-hmm.
Her husband, Bob, is an accountant. He works in New York City, and that night he takes Ruth to a party at the Guggenheim to network, apparently. And at the party, Ruth is a klutz, so she spills her wine on romance novelist Mary Fisher. And as Ruth runs to get salt and Perrier to clean the stain, Bob and Mary flirt, and he offers to drive Mary home. And she lives 75 miles away from them. But Bob then doesn't drop his wife off at home and then which, by the way, if you drop your wife off at home and then take the hot romance novelist to her house, that's a dick move. But he doesn't even do that. Like, it's not even a dick move. This is like Satan's driving the car. He doesn't drop her off in the driveway. He drops her off at the mouth of the fucking block that they live on, like at the top of the street, and says, walk your ass home. I'm going to take this chick over here.
He is a gigantic piece of shit throughout this entire movie.
Oh, 100%.
And I honestly, I don't get it.
And this is just the beginning.
I don't get, because Ed Begley Jr. throughout this movie is slinging dick. Every hot piece of ass in, wherever they live wants him.
Yeah.
Why?
That's a great question.
And I'm not trying to shit on him. I know I'm not winning a fucking beauty contest. I don't even get $10 in Monopoly for my second prize. But also neither is Ed Begley Jr. So
no, not even for 80s standards.
No.
There's a lot of guys you see in 80s movies and you're like, ugh, gross. But for the 80s, that was the look. That was the guy. Listen, he becomes Bill Lumbergh 10 years later. That's who he is.
I'm going to need you to go ahead and come in tomorrow.
And his clothes, by the way, in this entire movie are trash. I hated this era of clothing for men and women. We all look like assholes. What were we doing?
Yeah. And I don't get the shoulder pads. Meryl Streep, everything has shoulder pads. I never understood that look. Broad shoulders.
Unless you're auditioning for a Janet Jackson video, lose the shoulder pads, kid.
Exactly.
Don't need them.
Bob takes Mary home to her house. She invites him in. He spends the night. They have sexy times, whatever. And this starts his affair with Mary. And when he gets home the next day, Ruth isn't a fucking moron. So she already knows he's banging the hot writer lady. So she's already pissed. She's already questioning about it. He's saying, no, I'm not doing anything. And I love you. And you're my best friend and yada, yada. And you know what? I got a quick don't do that. I know we're bagging on the Bob character, but I have to throw in this quick don't do that.
Don't do that. It's not good for you.
Hi, guys and or gals out there that are in a loveless relationship or marriage or whatever. You got a house, great. You got kids, great. You got cars and things, or you have nothing. If you're not happy, just leave. Get a divorce, get an annulment. I mean, outside of burying the other person in the backyard, just get the fuck out and go do whatever it is you want to do. This always drives me crazy. And it's not in movies, it's in real life too, because everybody knows people in their lives. It's this person's cheating on that one and this one's cheating on this one and blah, 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 blah. Just leave. You're obviously not happy. Don't do what Bob does here and just keep going home, because you're gonna, and there's gonna be a schmuicide at some point in the house.
Probably, yeah. You're going Chris Benoit and that whole family.
That's
here's what I would say.
Corey's life lessons.
Hey, cheaters and liars, Uncle Corey here. Do better lying He says, I got a flat tire and it was so late and I was so tired, I just got a hotel. You can trace that shit back. Why do that? What you do in a lie is you tell half the truth. I was exhausted, so I stayed at Mary's. I'm sorry I didn't call you. She let me stay in this fucking huge mansion. It's crazy. I stayed in a spare bedroom. I got up and I came right home. Boom. Half of fucking truth is told, and it's somewhat believable. There's still that little air of, hey, maybe he fucked around. But also, he just admitted that he stayed there. So if he was fucking around, I think he would probably be a little more scared and come up with something stupid like, I popped the tire and stayed at a hotel last night.
Yeah.
So clearly he has to be... There's a way to lie, you fucking morons.
Yes.
Do it better. Do it right.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to be here forever. So I got a finite amount of time to teach you kids how to lie, cheat, and steal better in your lives.
Yeah.
That's all I'm trying to do.
Corey can't hold your hand or do the amount of advertising he's doing for the Home Depot. So, I mean, he's like you said, he's not going to be around forever.
I got a short window, guys. My 15 minutes are about up.
Here's the other thing. So they show Ruth at the grocery store after this, right? And when you're in a relationship like this, it has an effect on your kids in a few different ways. In this movie, their kids are fucking assholes. You got the son who's stabbing cartons of milk in the goddamn grocery store. He's twisting heads off of birds at some point. Just as an FYI.
I would twist the head off of him.
You have Ruth, who, and if you're this person, here's it, don't do that.
Don't do that, it's not good for you.
Hi, people shopping in grocery stores, and this isn't a fat shaming thing. This is just a don't be this person kind of thing. If you're shopping and you're like, oh, there's chips or cookies on the grocery list, cool. If that's the shit you eat, fine, buy it. What do I care? What you don't do is put it where the baby goes in the cart and eat it as you're fucking shopping. What kind of fucking animal are you? Where you're eating the food in the... Listen, if it doesn't come in a little shot glass because there's a person going, hey, do you want to try the new Bob Evans sausage? Don't eat in the grocery store. That's gross.
Fuck!
We get shots of now Bob and Mary continuing their affair and Ruth continuing to be suspicious. Bob has his parents over for dinner. Shit goes sideways there. Bob becomes the, douchebag extraordinaire at dinner. He loses his shit after things don't go well. This is the final straw. And Bob finally leaves Ruth and his kids after he berates her in front of his parents. Now, do you know what kind of piece of shit you gotta be that his parents are like, hey, calm down. It's not, what's your problem? Like, if you're such a piece of shit, your parents aren't even taking your side, read the room. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I think this is a good lesson for a lot of people out there. If you're doing something wrong, stop having semantic fights with your wife or your spouse or whatever the fuck, because you're stepping out. You know it's on you. And yet you fucking embarrass her in front of your parents. And then when they leave, you are beating the shit out of this woman while she just sits there and fucking takes it.
Yeah.
I mean, what the fuck, dude? You're the one that's in the wrong. You wanted to leave. And you're so fucking guilty and so much of a pussy that you have to take it all out on her and make her think it's her fault.
Dude,
like you said at the beginning, just go. She already knows. She knows why you're leaving. She's not stupid. Exactly. So you sitting there and having to go through this fucking charade and pretending like, oh, you're a fucking horrible person. You're a terrible mother. You're blah. How would you know, fuckface? You're never there anyway.
Yes.
Just pack your shit and leave.
That's it. And here, during this whole fight, he tells her that he has 4 assets that he holds dear to his heart: his house, his family, his career, and his freedom. Ruth then writes all of his assets down and systematically goes to work on destroying each one of them. And she starts by blowing up their house. And not for nothing, we've now done 2 movies like this. You have Milton in Office Space, and now you have Ruth in this movie. You can only push a person so far, okay? And especially the ones that don't quite fight back. With people like me and Corey, and I'll just throw me. I won't assume Corey. I'll just put me in the scenario. If you fuck with me once, I might let it slide. The second time, now I'm saying something. I don't wait for the 150th time. If we said it before, for those people that let it go and let it go and let it go, when they let go, it's literally we're burning the motherfucker down. That's what happens here. And if you're with somebody, listen, even wild animals will walk away if you stop putting up a fight. Okay? Just walk the fuck away. I think that's the end all be all to this fucking story. Because if you don't, your house is going to get blown up.
Yeah, I'm kind of like you. Like, one time I'll let you slide. The second time I'm going to say something, but what I'm going to say to you is I'm about to burn your fucking house down.
Yeah.
Because for what is 150th time for some people is like 3 for me.
Yes, that's fair.
And sometimes 2.5, especially if you're a kid.
Dude, we know Corey and kids, man. She's got nowhere to go now, so she drops the kids off at Mary's place to stay with their father, who obviously Bob doesn't want his kids in his life at all. So he tries to pawn the kids off on Ruth, but she tells him to pound sand and she leaves in a taxi.
Corey's life lessons.
Hi, ladies. Uncle Corey here. If you've been jilted by a lover and your husband has left you for his mistress and left you just expecting you to take care of the kids, this is how you fuck shit up. You don't have to blow your house up and get people arrested and all kinds of crazy shit. All you have to do is go, here you go, kids. You're living with daddy now because he has a mansion and I fucking don't.
Yes.
I guarantee you his mistress ain't gonna be fucking him anytime soon.
Absolutely.
You know why? Because the same reason you weren't fucking him, because you're raising 2 fucking kids.
Yes. Well, and this is also where the movie makes a right-hand turn for me. Like, I'm still okay with the plot of this movie. Like, okay, now she's going to systematically, like, ruin his fucking life. I'm there for it. I got my popcorn. I'm fine.
Yeah.
But then, after she burns down the house, she doesn't have a place to live, yada, yada. So she starts a new life under a new name, Vesta Rose, goes to work at the nursing home where Mary's mother lives, and then finds out that like they're all doped up. So she takes all the patients off their drugs and then ships Mary's mom off to Mary's house. So now they got the kids and Mary's mom there. And like this whole piece. And I mean, I guess if you want to bring Nurse Hooper or whatever into the scenario, that whole shit just doesn't need to take place.
You were right.
I don't understand, honestly, why it had to happen anyway. The whole incontinence gets you thrown out thing was not funny. And
no,
it wasn't
wasn't.
I'm offended because old people are... No, they're not. Old people are not important. I don't care. Make fun of them all you want. But that was not particularly funny. I just like the whole everything about it, even like how like her and Hooper bond, where it's like, oh, she's standoffish. Oh, look, I gave them hyper pills and they're playing soccer. Or I'm sorry, to Armando, they're playing football, and then they eat donuts together, and now they're best friends. I don't understand. Any of this, if the whole thing is like, well, I want to have her mother show up at her house. Here's an idea. Pretend you work for Mary Fisher and check her out of the fucking place. This place isn't checking your resume.
Yes.
You went under a clear alien. If you showed up to me and said your name was Vesta Rose, I am showing you the door or I'm calling the police because that is clearly an alias.
We then get Mary's mom at Mary's house busting her balls, making life difficult for her and Bob. The kids don't give two shits. They're running amok in the goddamn mansion. They're not cleaning up after themselves. And of course, you have the milk-stabbing son throwing the stick over the cliff and killing Mary's dog because he's a psycho with no rules. Period. Like,
this kid should have been aborted.
This,
like, look, if we're genuinely gonna have a conversation about schmortion, this kid is Exhibit A in why schmortion should be completely legal up to the age of like 3.
I was
something
gonna
tells me he was like teething on your nipple.
I was
Like,
gonna
he was
say
that
10.
kid.
I was gonna say 10, but three seems
I'm fine
fair.
with that too.
More.
We always say, like kids in movies, and you can write bad kids, and you can, but like this shit, like who thought that was funny?
Probably the same people that thought the 40-year-old butler dancing with the 13-year-old daughter, they're giving looks to each other throughout this. She's doing photo shoots with the People magazine photographer. Like, what the fuck, Hollywood? When fuck are we going to stop being people? You know why Republicans think you guys are fucking pedophiles? Because they've watched your movies.
Every goddamn one of them.
What the fuck?
Hoo-ah.
Unbelievable. It's like, you know why people who watch this show think I have 47 ex-wives? Because they've listened and watched the show.
You don't?
I mean, I do, but, it's because you're listening and I'm saying it. That's how you know that. It's just fucking crazy to me, dude. Every fucking movie we walk into, it's like, oh, she has a training bra on? Let me see the straps.
Yeah, that
gross.
Well, yeah.
Stop it.
We then get to Ruth getting fired because of incontinence and whatever, and Mrs. Fisher, Mary's mother, gets kicked out of the home, so she has to stay with Mary permanently now. And Ruth then moves to Bob's next asset because she's already like crushed the whole family thing. So now she's on to his next asset, which is his career. So she and Hooper go to New York City together and then lease out like this building in Manhattan and get to work on fixing it up. And they start an employment agency for women.
Dude, this bitch is Kaiser Soze. Let's just play this out, okay? And you have gone to all these lengths, and your plan is so detailed that you are putting one of your unemployed ladies into the courthouse so she can change around who the judge is at the trial at the last minute because there's a chance he's going to get a favorable judge because of who his lawyer is and who his dad. What the fuck are you talking? Here's an idea, okay? I'm just going to throw this out there.
Corey's Life Lessons.
Hi, ladies. Uncle Corey here. I know you've been burned, and revenge, believe me, is amazing. It's amazing. But you know what's better than that? Totally reinventing yourself, finding your new best friend, and starting an employment agency where you're helping other women that were just in your situation find their independence and get a job. Just do that. You are incredibly successful. What are you doing following through with this plan? You've won.
Well, and now because she's the heroine in this movie. Like,
yeah,
your husband's cheating on you and left and blah blah blah. So now you're ruining it, and everybody's like, "Yay, Roseanne! Like, go for it," or whatever.
Yeah.
And so you're on her side until right now, because instead of doing what you said and just opening this agency and helping women that have come in the same situation and they're very mousy and you're getting them out there and all of those great things. She then hires and places people for the specific reason to manipulate them into doing what she wants them to do, because she places the woman as the county clerk or whatever, because she knows what her next plan is, and that's to, frame Bob or prove that Bob's, taking money and embezzlement, whatever. She then takes Olivia Honey and places her in Bob's office so that she can bang Bob, so that she can prove to Mary that Bob's cheating on her with. So you took this woman character that is supposed to be like, yeah, you go, girl, you get him. And then you had her like do this really shady, shitty shit to people that she's trying to help.
Let me break it down like this. You are using women through false promises in order to obtain what you want. You know who that sounds like? Fucking Bob.
Exactly.
You're not fucking these women, but in a sense,
you're
you're fucking these women. It may
Yes.
not be a verb, it's more of an adjective, but you're fucking doing it.
I didn't do fucking shit.
Honestly, like, you are using these women and telling them what they want to hear, giving them money through jobs, you're giving them employment, and a promise of growth so you can get exactly what you want.
Yep.
That sounds to me like exactly the relationship Bob starts with Olivia.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And
you're hired, you can work here, but we're fucking.
So Ruth gets Olivia, they break into Bob's office, they send some money to his overseas account so it looks more like embezzlement. He's already embezzling. He's already skimming money and sending it to this Swiss bank account. Just have it do that. We got to make it look more like, okay, whatever, cool. So they break in.
To take it another step, you've also not only put this woman who says she wants to meet a rich guy who she can marry. That's her goal on videotape in her interview. So you put her in the path of a man with money. She is happy just having sex with this guy as his secretary. And you say, you know what? I'm going to push you a little bit more over the edge. Tell him you love him.
Yes.
So she says, I love you. He fires her. And then that's how you manipulate her into setting this all up where you're framing him and transferring money into these. You're not a she-devil. You're a piece of shit.
Yes, it's a lot.
Like, and again, I am the living embodiment of revenge. And this is too much.
When Corey says it's too much, shit's too much.
Yeah, slow your roll, okay? You're not shitting on somebody's house. This is...
So, after all this, Mary and Bob are having a party. He gets arrested, by the feds at said party, and we then cut to the court. Ruth gets the judge changed, and Bob gets sentenced to a minimum of 18 months in prison, a huge fine, and he's getting dragged out. He sees Ruth and begs for her help, and he gets dragged out of the courtroom.
And I gotta stop you real quick.
Corey's life lessons.
Hi, people doing dirt. Uncle Corey here. If you commit a crime, there's a good chance you're going to get arrested at some point in the future. Do not cry like a bitch. You did the crime.
Agreed.
Take the fucking hit like a goddamn man. And do not cry in the police car, in the holding cell, at any point in time. Do not cry. Come on, man. That's like blood in the water to a shark.
Yeah,
homie.
Don't
you don't think they know what new people's eyes look like from crying because they got arrested? You're gonna have a dick inside of you in about fucking 20 minutes, homie.
Your eyes look a little red around the edges there.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you come over here and hold on to my pocket as I rip this out of my... You're going to be following me around.
Come here, puffy eyes.
So the film then flashes forward to a year later. Ruth drops the kids off with Bob in prison for a visit. But before she can leave, Bob asks her if he can come over to cook her dinner when he gets out or some shit. And she says she'll think about it. And the movie ends as two things happen. First, Mary sells her mansion, releases a new book called Trust and Betrayal, and then Ruth shows up at the book signing, asks for the autograph to be made out to Ruth, and next in line after Ruth is this Frenchie who Mary flirts with, and apparently he's the next Bob. And then the closing shot is Ruth walking down the street with nicer clothes and her hair done, and her mole is gone, and surrounded by women, she looks at the camera and smiles. I won? Question mark?
If the point of this movie was to say that women are either sexual objects or just plain evil, then I totally agree, and this is the greatest movie ever made.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
The one part of this movie that I actually did find somewhat humorous was the transition of Mary from this kind of willowy, pink flowing gown writer. You know, she writes these romance novels. I talk like this, almost a whisper. To her, like, poor man's Gloria Steineman knockoff. After she writes her new book, and she's got the jeans on and the big glasses and just the ponytail pulled back. Yeah, it's fucking hilarious, that transformation. But yeah, other than that, this movie's horrible.
Yeah, it's not good.
No,
like everything about it was really bad. And here's the thing, and I know we do every now and again we'll talk about actors every great while. It's got to be a special kind of suck for us to talk about the acting in a negative light. But it seems to me whenever I see these movies from the 80s or the 90s, whatever, these really bad ones, no matter who, because obviously, whatever you want to say about Roseanne, I really don't care. Because I'm not related to her, but like when she had the TV show, like she was, as an actress, she was fine. Meryl Streep obviously has a huge resume. The people in this movie were established actors and actresses. So it's not like they were shitty actors and actresses. The script, the whole air about this movie almost made them act like shitty actors and actresses. Like it was almost forced upon you because everything was just so bad. Like the writing was so bad, the directing was really bad, like everything. And again, could I write a better movie or direct a better movie? No, I'm not saying that I could.
No, you could.
It's just nothing in this movie was appealing to me. I found some pockets of it funny. And again, not ha 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 out loud funny, but I just went, that's it. Overall, this movie is a steaming pile of crap.
Yeah, no, look, I wouldn't wish this movie on my worst enemy. If I want to see Ed Begley Jr. in another movie, I'll watch Transylvania 5000 or whatever the fuck that was called. If I want to see Meryl Streep in a comedy, I will watch Death Becomes Her every time over this. And, as far as Roseanne's concerned, like, I'm not shitting on Roseanne because of fucking what happened. Her TV show was one of the greatest sitcoms that was ever on television. Yeah. You cannot deny it. And she Absolutely. Was a massive, massive personality in the 90s.
You were right.
No, obviously she's a piece of shit. I there was nothing appealing about this movie. The clothes were bad, the scripts were bad, the acting was bad, the comedy was non-fucking existent. I just don't understand the point of it. And if you don't know, there are tons of movies out in Hollywood that are shot, and not just Hollywood, Vancouver too, that are shot and they're shelved. They put them away.
Yeah.
Whether they just, they ran out of money and they can't market it, the climate's changed. There's a million different things out there that can cause a movie to never be put out. I need an explanation as to why this one was. Because we've done like movies like Office Space, where you have tons of actors who are on popular TV shows doing their first movie. We have numerous movies where a popular comedian, stand-up or otherwise, does their first movie, and they aren't this. What the fuck is this?
The only thing, because this was based on a novel, I believe. Like that's
Love in the Rinse Cycle?
That's the only thing that I can point to. And Mike Judge didn't write it.
No.
Or somebody like him. You know what I mean? Like with Office Space, that was a fucking Mike Judge vehicle. He did all of it. But like with this, it was based on a novel, I think. And again, we've talked about books, the adaptation into a movie and all of that stuff, and how sometimes it just doesn't translate well, or the writer doesn't write it well, or however. I mean, that could be a million different things, but whoever saw the final screening of this and went, yeah, we're totally doing it. We're putting this fucker out. Like that guy or girl or woman or whatever can, they can jump with the dog off the edge of the cliff. Because.
Look, if you think this movie's good, I'm going to put it like this. If you think this movie's good, you can go on pretending that you live in a world where Gone Girl doesn't exist. But bitch, I've seen Gone Girl, and that's how you revenge motherfuckers. Not this.
And that's how I'll end it. That's perfect. That's perfect. So for Corey, I'm Armando. This is Kiss the Reviews, and this was 1989's She Devil.
Not Gone Girl.